Synopsis. Lin Fei, who had mediocre martial arts talent, unexpectedly acquired a martial arts system. All of his martial arts skills could be self-cultivated. Your giant whale body refining technique has increased by 50% due to its observation of the long whale under the moon diagram, which enabled it to comprehend the essence of the technique. Despite not putting in much effort, Lin Fei's martial arts skills were too diligent. Chapter Your Giant Whale Body Refining Technique, after observing the moonlit giant whale painting, has comprehended the essence of the giant whale, accelerating your cultivation speed by 50%. Your giant whale body refining technique, after 1 day of arduous cultivation, has achieved 100% progress, automatically breaking through to the 4th level of body refining. Upon awakening, Lin Fei heard the voice in his mind. As the voice faded, Lin Fei's body crackled and popped. He felt his entire body's vitality expand considerably. His strength had increased by a significant margin. These were clear signs of reaching the 4th level of body refining. Lin Fei was overjoyed. 3 days ago, Lin Fei acquired this system. Unexpectedly, the system could let his martial arts cultivate themselves automatically. This was unheard of. System panel. Lin Fei immediately summoned the system panel to check. Host, Lin Fei. Giant whale body refining technique, 4th level, 1% progress. The system panel was quite simple. It was because that Lin Fei's martial arts were limited to just this technique. This was the rule of the 9 Profound Sect. Lin Fei was an outer disciple of the 9 Profound Sect. According to the sect's rules, before reaching the 4th level of body refining, those who entered the 9 Profound Sect could only practice one body refining martial art. Previously, Lin Fei had only been at the 3rd level of body refining. Therefore, he could not practice other martial arts. According to the 9 Profound Sect's rules, within 3 years as a beginner, one must reach the 4th level of body refining. Otherwise, they would be expelled from the 9 Profound Sect. Lin Fei had only 1 month left before the 3-year deadline. Fortunately, he got the system. Otherwise, in just 1 month, he definitely would not have been able to reach the 4th level of body refining. The ultimate consequence would be expulsion from the 9 Profound Sect, bringing shame to his family. Upon reaching the 4th level of body refining, Lin Fei naturally wanted to learn other martial arts. After all, the giant whale body refining technique could only enhance his physical prowess. It was not a combat martial art. He still needed to learn some combat martial arts to protect himself. Luckily, the 9 Profound Sect had a rule that after reaching the 4th level of body refining, one could select 3 martial arts from the martial arts pavilion for free. Thus, Lin Fei headed out directly. He first went to the transmission hall. Having reached the 4th level of body refining, he needed to get certified at the transmission hall. Only after obtaining the certification from the transmission hall could he obtain 3 free martial arts from the martial arts pavilion. At the transmission hall, not many disciples came for certification. In the 9 Profound Sect, only those at the 4th level of body refining, the 7th level of body refining, and the acquired realm would come for certification. The 4th level of body refining was the foundation for staying in the 9 Profound Sect. Only those who had reached this level could remain in the sect without worrying about being expelled. The 7th level of body refining was also crucial. If one reached the 7th level of body refining before the age of 20, they could become an inner disciple of the 9 Profound Sect. After all, reaching the 7th level of body refining before 20 meant that one had the potential to become an acquired realm expert. If the disciples reached the acquired realm, their status in the 9 Profound Sect would rise dramatically, and they could even participate in many important matters of the sect. Elder, outer disciple Lin Fei has reached the 4th level of body refining today and has come for certification, Lin Fei respectfully said to the transmission elder. Stretch out your hand. Lin Fei respectfully extended his hand. The transmission elder then sent his inner power into Lin Fei. A warm current swiftly entered Lin Fei's body, circulating throughout his entire body. This was inner power, the hallmark of an acquired realm expert. Acquired realm experts were called acquired because they had cultivated inner power. Lin Fei was envious. Before, his greatest dream was to become an acquired realm expert and bring glory to his ancestors. The transmission elder opened his eyes and nodded. "Not bad, your giant whale body refining technique has indeed reached the 4th level. Your foundation is quite solid, and there is hope for reaching the 7th level of body refining in the future." "Thank you, Elder." "All right, bring out your token, and I will give you a new one. With this token, you can go to the martial arts pavilion and claim 3 free martial arts." Disciple understands. Lin Fei received his new token, overjoyed. So, Lin Fei took his token and left the transmission hall directly. The 9 profound sect was vast. The martial arts pavilion and the transmission hall were quite far apart. Lin Fei briskly walked for a long time before reaching the martial arts pavilion. The martial arts pavilion was much livelier. Many disciples were present. After all, the martial arts pavilion housed many martial arts. It was one of the most popular places in the 9 profound sect. Lin Fei entered the martial arts pavilion and showed his token to the martial arts pavilion elder. The martial arts pavilion elder was an old man with a wine gourd hanging from his waist and white hair and beard, who looked like a wise and experienced expert. Lin Fei tried asking, "Elder, what kind of wine do you like? I can find some for you." The martial arts pavilion elder didn't even raise his eyes, speaking in a hoarse voice. "The 1st floor of the martial arts pavilion houses body refining martial arts, the 2nd floor houses acquired martial arts, and the 3rd floor houses innate martial arts. You're only at the 4th level of body refining, so you can only choose martial arts from the 1st floor. Once you've made your selection, come back to me, and I'll provide you with the martial arts content. You can only practice in the corresponding training rooms for a maximum of 1 hour. Beyond 1 hour, you'll have to pay. At the 4th level of body refining, you can choose 3 martial arts for free. By the way, don't try to get on my good side. This old man is at the 3rd level of the acquired realm, with no potential left. I'm neither a hidden expert nor do I possess any peerless martial arts manuals. There's no need for you to waste your time trying to please me. I'll thank you, Elder." Lin Fei felt a bit embarrassed. According to rumors, those who guarded places like the library pavilion were either venerable elders of the sect or experts possessing hidden, peerless martial arts manuals. It seemed this old man was neither. He was just an ordinary acquired realm elder. Moreover, most likely, other disciples were just like Lin Fei, trying to please this martial arts pavilion elder. After paying his respects, Lin Fei directly entered the 1st floor of the martial arts pavilion. Chapter 2. Selecting Martial Arts. The 1st floor of the martial arts pavilion was quite crowded with disciples. They were all body refining disciples. Some were just beginners with a basic understanding of martial arts. Others, like Lin Fei, had broken through to the 4th level of body refining. There were also disciples above the 7th level of body refining, likewise choosing martial arts in the martial arts pavilion. After all, sometimes practicing martial arts, one might feel something is off. It might be necessary to change. Body refining martial arts, in the end, were meant to temper the body. So, they could be changed at any time. But once one reached the acquired realm and practiced acquired martial arts, which could cultivate inner power, that would be different. Martial arts would not be changed so easily. But during the body refining stage, there was no such worry, and one could change as desired. The only trouble might be all previous efforts were in vain after changing body refining martial arts. Lin Fei did not intend to change his giant whale body refining technique. This body refining martial art had quite a good refining effect. What Lin Fei sought were combat martial arts. In the body refining stage, weapons can play a significant role. So, it's best to choose a martial art that uses weapons. With a clear goal in mind, Lin Fei began selecting from the martial arts available in the martial arts pavilion. According to Lin Fei's thinking, he had a system martial arts could practice on their own. So naturally, he would choose the most powerful martial arts. As for whether the martial arts were difficult to practice, what did that have to do with him? A mature martial art should be able to cultivate on its own. Among a bunch of weapon techniques, Lin Fei chose a saber technique called Nine Shadow Saber Technique. The reason for specifically choosing a saber technique was because among the many options, the Nine Shadow Saber Technique was the only weapon technique which had the fastest speed. The Nine Shadow Saber Technique had no other fancy features. It only pursued speed. The ultimate speed. In Lin Fei's memory, there was the saying, in the world of martial arts, only speed is unbeatable. Therefore, seeing the Nine Shadow Saber Technique's pursuit of ultimate speed, he naturally chose it. Of course, Lin Fei had only chosen this saber technique. The specific content of the saber technique was still in the hands of the martial arts pavilion elder. Lin Fei was not in a hurry. Since he could choose 3 martial arts, he wanted to make full use of them. He couldn't waste the opportunity. The Nine Shadow Saber Technique is already formidable enough, choosing another weapon skill would be meaningless. But in the world of martial arts, anything can happen. What if one day I don't have a weapon? Hand-to-hand combat becomes crucial. So, I must choose a hand-to-hand martial art. Lin Fei found himself in front of the bookshelf containing hand-to-hand martial arts. The sheer number of hand-to-hand martial arts was overwhelming. With a dazzling array of choices, it was challenging to decide. Finally, Lin Fei spotted the Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist. The name itself sounded powerful. Lin Fei chose this martial art because of its distinct characteristics. Moreover, it was a martial art that could grow. The Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist required immense strength to unleash its full power. The greater the strength, the more powerful the fist technique. If wielded by someone with innate divine strength, it could even kill an acquired expert. Of course, if one lacked strength, the technique would be useless. Lin Fei's body refining method, the giant whale technique, focused on cultivating blood and qi. His vast blood and qi granted him significant strength. Practicing the Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist was fitting. Wait, the giant whale body refining technique emphasizes blood and qi. But the body isn't just about blood and qi. There's also the skin membrane and muscles and bones. My martial arts can be self-cultivated. So why not train the skin membrane, muscles and bones together? Doing so would make me even stronger. Lin Fei's eyes lit up. He thought of his advantage. That was not fearing how difficult a martial art could be, but fearing that the martial art was not comprehensive enough. Typical body-refining martial arts have a focus. For instance, some emphasize blood and qi, while others focus on the skin membrane or muscles and bones. In reality, they were all the same. Focusing on one aspect allowed faster progress to the 9th level of body refining. This then led to breaking through to the acquired realm and cultivating acquired martial arts to harness inner power. Therefore, being well-rounded during the body refining stage is not crucial. Of course, the main reason is that most people have limited energy. If cultivated together, progress would be slowed. Breaking through to the acquired realm would become a luxury. Lin Fei promptly chose a martial art for refining the skin membrane and another for training muscles and bones. These were the Vajra iron cloth and tendon transformation and bone forging technique. The Vajra iron cloth differed from ordinary iron cloth techniques in its extremity. An ordinary iron cloth technique would make the skin membrane tough like cowhide but with vulnerable points. But after mastering Vajra iron cloth, there would be no weaknesses. The only difference was its difficulty. The tendon transformation and bone forging technique was the most potent martial art for training muscles and bones. And it had no equal. However, this martial art was said to incorporate certain theories from Taoism and Buddhism. Without a deep understanding of both Taoist and Buddhist principles, even beginners would struggle. Lin Fei chose these martial arts and approached the elder of the martial arts pavilion. 9 Shadow Saber Technique, Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist, Vajra Iron Cloth, and Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging Technique. 4 martial arts in total, but you can only choose 3 for free. You'll have to leave 1 martial art behind. The martial arts pavilion elder shook his head. Lin Fei couldn't help but ask, "Elder, is there any way I can have all 4? Of course, just pay more. All martial arts can be exchanged with contribution points. These 4 martial arts each cost 1,000 contribution points. But I don't have any contribution points." Before, Lin Fei wasn't even at the 4th level of body refining, so he couldn't go out and earn contribution points. That makes it even simpler. If you don't have contribution points, just pay money. 1 tael of silver can be exchanged for 1 contribution point. 1,000 contribution points would be 1,000 taels of silver. Ah! The price seemed a bit steep. But Lin Fei thought about it. He was born into a merchant family and his monthly allowance was substantial. 1,000 taels, he could afford it. Fine, I'll pay the extra. Here's a silver bill for 1,000 taels. Lin Fei gritted his teeth and chose to pay. Chapter 3. Martial Arts with Personality. Not bad, the youngster is teachable. The martial arts pavilion elder collected the banknote with a satisfied expression on his face. Lin Fei received a token for a training run. He chose 4 martial arts, so he could stay in the training room for up to 4 hours. After all, the martial arts manuals couldn't be taken away. The martial arts manuals must be returned in their original state after a maximum of 4 hours. Moreover, you must not divulge our sect's martial arts without permission. Otherwise, the 9 profound sects pursued order will show no mercy. Yes, Elder, I understand. Lin Fei took the 4 martial arts manuals and entered the training room. Inside the training room, Lin Fei lined up the manuals. The 4 hours were not meant for actual training. After all, the time was too short. Even with training, how far could one progress? These 4 hours were for memorizing the manuals. However, Lin Fei was different. He didn't need to memorize them at all. He only needed to get started with these martial arts. Once he did, the martial arts would cultivate themselves. So, Lin Fei began practicing Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist. Following the moves in the manual, he performed the technique once. Your Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist is dissatisfied with your weak aura. The cultivation effect is reduced by 50% and the progress reaches 1%. Ah! This was the first time Lin Fei encountered such a situation. It seemed that the Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist had quite a personality. System. Lin Fei checked the system panel. Host, Lin Fei. Giant Whale Body Refining Technique, 4th level, 1% progress. Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist, beginner, 1% progress. Lin Fei saw that the Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist had appeared in the system panel. This meant that Lin Fei didn't have to worry about this martial art anymore. Although martial arts seemed to have quite a personality, Lin Fei would slowly explore how it would be in the future. Now there were 3 more martial arts waiting for him to cultivate. So, Lin Fei continued practicing the 9 Shadow Saber technique. Using your palm instead of a saber has displaced the 9 Shadow Saber technique. The cultivation effect is reduced by 80% and the progress reaches 1%. Lin Fei could only smile bitterly. It seemed that the 9 Shadow Saber technique was as temperamental as the Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist. Lin Fei continued to practice Vajra Iron Cloth and Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging technique. Your Vajra Iron Cloth is very satisfied with the host. The cultivation effect is increased by 50% and the progress reaches 3%. Your tendon transformation and bone forging technique is very satisfied with the host. The cultivation effect is increased by 50% and the progress reaches 5%. Lin Fei received consecutive prompts. His tendon transformation and bone forging technique and Vajra iron cloth seemed to be progressing well. Lin Fei thought about it. It was probably related to his giant whale body refining technique. His giant whale body refining technique had reached the 4th level. With powerful qi and blood, cultivating other body refining martial arts would have some beneficial effects to some extent. That's why these two body refining martial arts were cultivated so smoothly. Lin Fei checked the time. Just 2 hours had passed. So, he left the training room directly and returned the 4 martial arts manuals to the Martial Arts Pavilion Elder. The Martial Arts Pavilion Elder was surprised. It's only been 2 hours. Have you memorized everything? I've memorized them all. Thank you, Elder. Herr, I didn't expect you to be quite clever. All right, go ahead and leave. After paying his respects, Lin Fei left the martial arts pavilion directly. That night, Lin Fei was a bit excited. With 5 martial arts at his side that could cultivate themselves, perhaps it wouldn't take long for him to reach the 5th level of body refining. The next day, Lin Fei woke up early. Without the need to train hard, he felt refreshed naturally. As soon as he woke up, he heard a series of voices in his ear. Your giant whale body refining technique has made great progress after a day of hard work, and the progress has increased by 5%. Lin Fei's eyes brightened. His mood instantly improved. His giant whale body refining technique was currently at the 4th level. A 5% increase in 1 day meant that it would only take 20 days to reach 100% and advance to the 5th level. Such speed was simply astonishing. Of course, Lin Fei was well aware that this was because his giant whale body refining technique had comprehended the profound meaning of the giant whale, otherwise it wouldn't have cultivated so quickly. Your dragon elephant Vajra fist was in high spirits last night. After a day of hard work, the cultivation progress has increased by 10%. This was another piece of good news. The dragon elephant Vajra fist was quite competitive. Although it seemed a bit lackluster at the beginning yesterday, after a night had passed, the dragon elephant Vajra fist had proven itself as a mature martial art. It could adjust its state on its own. Not bad, not bad. Keep it up. A smile appeared on Lin Fei's face. Your 9 shadow saber technique, due to the lack of a saber, is in a low mood and has decided to take a day off. There is no progress in cultivation. Ah. The smile on Lin Fei's face froze. The 9 shadow saber technique was not living up to expectations. It hadn't cultivated at all last night. However, Lin Fei was also to blame. The 9 shadow saber technique required a weapon, but he didn't have one. So, it made sense that the 9 shadow saber technique hadn't cultivated. It seemed that he needed to find a saber as soon as possible. Your Vajra iron cloth, due to not having soaked in a medicinal bath, is in a low mood and there is no progress in cultivation. Your tendon transformation and bone forging technique, due to not having listened to Buddhist or Taoist scriptures, is in a low mood and there is no progress in cultivation. 3 consecutive pieces of bad news left Lin Fei dumbfounded. Chapter 4. Saber skill improved. System. Lin Fei accessed the system panel to check the progress of each martial art. Host, Lin Fei. Martial Arts Realm, Body Refining 4th Level. Giant Whale Body Refining Technique, 4th Level, 6% progress. Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist, Beginner, 11% progress. 9 Shadow Saber Technique, Beginner, 1% progress. Vajra Iron Cloth, 1st Level, 3% progress. Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging Technique, 1st Level, 5% progress. Lin Fei looked at the martial arts progress on the system panel. He was currently only at the 4th level of body refining. but he had as many as 5 martial arts. 3 of them were body-refining martial arts and 2 were combat martial arts. Lin Fei discovered a problem. Indeed, his martial arts could cultivate themselves. However, the key was that these martial arts had their own personalities. If their requirements were not met, they could strike and refuse to work. They could be lazy and not cultivate. The giant whale body refining technique was currently the most obedient, steadily cultivating almost every day. Like a model student, it was neither arrogant nor impatient, making steady progress. The Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist's performance was also satisfactory for now. But how it would fare in the long run remained to be seen. The 9 Shadow Saber technique, Vajra Iron Cloth, and Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging technique were a bit more problematic. The 9 Shadow Saber technique could be easily solved. Just buying a saber should be enough. As for Vajra Iron Cloth, it required a medicinal bath. Upon careful consideration, Lin Fei realized that it indeed needed a medicinal bath. After all, this Vajra Iron Cloth was a type of horizontal hard martial art training. Without a medicinal bath to heal the body, it would break down due to practice. This problem could also be solved as long as he had money to afford the medicinal bath. As for the Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging technique, this was quite interesting. It required listening to Buddhist and Taoist scriptures. It sounded intriguing, but in order to make the Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging technique cultivate properly, Lin Fei had no choice but to give it a try. Let's go buy a saber first. Lin Fei got up and left the room. As soon as he stepped outside, he saw 2 familiar figures. Zhong Yuan, Liu Hu, what are you doing here? Lin Fei remembered these 2 people. Both were added disciples of the 9 Profound sect, just like Lin Fei. And they were good friends. Lin Fei. Zhong Yuan said with a bitter smile, Liu Hu and I are here to say goodbye to you. Goodbye. Yes, we've been in the 9 Profound sect for 3 years and have been stuck at the 3rd level of body refining. Now that our 3-year term is up, we've been expelled from the sect. So, we came to say goodbye. Lin Fei was silent. He didn't know what to say. Brother Lin, I heard that you broke through to the 4th level of body refining yesterday. Congratulations, you can stay in the 9 Profound sect. It was just a fluke. Zhong Yuan, Liu Hu, what are your plans after leaving the sect? Lin Fei asked. I'm going back to inherit my family's business. As for Liu Hu, he's planning to go down the mountain and help me. Zhong Yuan's family was in business. Liu Hu knew him very well and the 2 got along well. With Liu Hu's help, Zhong Yuan would have an extra pair of hands after leaving the mountain. Then I wish you both smooth sailing. If you need anything in the future, feel free to send me a letter. Lin Fei considered it for a moment and made the promise. In his memory, both Zhong Yuan and Liu Hu had helped him a lot. They were his best friends in the entire 9 Profound sect. Now that his friends were leaving the sect, Lin Fei didn't mind helping them if he had the power to do so in the future. Thank you, Brother Lin. Zhong Yuan was overjoyed. He and Liu Hu came to say goodbye just to wait for Lin Fei's promise. After all, Lin Fei was still in the 9 Profound sect. In the future, he might reach the 5th, 6th, or even higher levels of body refining. By then, he could be a powerful ally. With this promise, they were satisfied. Looking at the desolate and forlorn figures of Zhong Yuan and Liu Hu, Lin Fei couldn't help but feel a little emotional. In this world, power was supreme. Whether in business or anything else, without power, it was difficult to make progress. Zhong Yuan and Liu Hu's departure from the mountain meant that they wouldn't achieve much in martial arts. Not to mention breaking through to the acquired realm, even reaching the 7th level of body refining was almost impossible. Lin Fei felt a sense of urgency. He was relatively lucky. At a critical moment, he broke through to the 4th level of body refining and could stay in the 9 Profound sect. But the fourth level of body refining was nothing. He still needed to continue to improve. Lin Fei entered the weapon hole directly. The weapons of the 9 profound sect could be purchased with contribution points. But Lin Fei had no contribution points. Of course, silver could be used as well. However, it would be much more expensive that way. But Lin Fei had no choice at the moment. Among the various weapons, Lin Fei chose a high-quality fine steel saber. Although it couldn't be considered a treasure saber, it was still very good. This saber cost Lin Fei 20 taels of silver. Lin Fei still needed some Buddhist scriptures and Taoist scriptures. There was no other way, he had to go down the mountain to buy them. And the medicinal bath. The medicinal bath required for Vajra iron cloth was extremely expensive. Lin Fei used the remaining silver to purchase 10 portions at once. Almost all of his silver was spent. Let's go back. Lin Fei returned to his courtyard. Let's try the 9 shadow saber technique. Lin Fei took a deep breath. He began to perform the 9 shadow saber technique. Although Lin Fei's martial skills could be practiced autonomously, after practicing, Lin Fei could feel it as if he had experienced it himself. It was as if Lin Fei had painstakingly practiced the skill himself. Lin Fei's 9 shadow saber technique was at the beginner level. Thus, he could barely perform it. Whoosh! Lin Fei swung his saber. Only a single white light flashed. This was the 9 shadow saber technique, pursuing the ultimate speed. When one saber swing produced 2 shadows, it meant that the saber technique was proficient. If one could swing the saber and produce 3 shadows, it would be mastery. Producing 6 shadows meant transcendence. To achieve perfection, one had to swing the saber and produce 9 shadows. But now, Lin Fei could only produce 1 shadow. He was merely a beginner. Your 9 shadow saber technique has just acquired a treasure saber, its mood is excited and its comprehension greatly increases. The progress of your 9 shadow saber technique practice has increased by 100%, reaching the proficient realm. A voice suddenly came into Lin Fei's mind. Already proficient. Lin Fei widened his eyes as if he couldn't believe it. But in the next moment, Lin Fei's mind was filled with various insights. It was as if his hands had the muscle memory of the 9 shadow saber technique. Then, he swung his saber again. Shoo! 2 white lights flashed. 2 shadows. This was indeed the characteristic of the proficient 9 shadow saber technique. General combat martial arts are divided into beginner, proficient, mastery, transcendence, perfection, and the realm of the divine. For an ordinary martial artist, reaching mastery is already very good. Reaching transcendence is almost the limit. As for perfection, basically, only special geniuses or the creators of martial art can achieve perfection. And the realm of the divine, that's another level. Martial arts like the 9 shadow saber technique place great emphasis on comprehension. Reaching proficiency in 1 month is already very impressive. But Lin Fei, just 1 day. He didn't expect that the autonomous practice of these martial arts was so terrifying when he met the conditions of them. Right, there's also Vajra iron cloth. Let's soak in the medicinal bath first and test its effects. Seeing the rapid progress of the 9 shadow saber technique, Lin Fei naturally held high expectations for Vajra iron cloth as well. Chapter 5. Pick up the task. Lin Fei had a courtyard of his own. The reason why other disciples were able to have courtyards was simple: wealth. In Lin Fei's memory, his family should be considered wealthy merchants. Therefore, he was able to buy a courtyard at the 9 profound sect. In the courtyard, Lin Fei heated water by himself. He poured the purchased medicinal herbs into the wooden barrel. Lin Fei jumped directly into the barrel. Immediately, Lin Fei felt as if all the pores in his body had opened. Warm currents flowed throughout his body, making him feel extremely comfortable. Your Vajra iron cloth has detected the nourishing medicinal bath and has begun to practice. Lin Fei also felt that his skin was itchy and painful, and sometimes red spots would appear. This was due to the practice of Vajra iron cloth. Your Vajra iron cloth is in a great mood, and the practice speed is doubled. Your Vajra iron cloth has reached the second level. Splash! Lin Fei stood up from the hot water barrel. He looked at the skin on his arm. It felt rough to the touch, but it was very tough. Vajra iron cloth has reached the second level just like that. Lin Fei couldn't help but smile. He had practiced the giant whale body refining technique before. He knew very well how difficult it was to practice body refining martial arts. It took him 2 years to step into the second level of the giant whale body refining technique. And now, in just 1 day, his Vajra iron cloth had reached the second level. Of course, this must be related to the abundant qi and blood of the giant whale technique. But Vajra iron cloth itself was also quite impressive. The more unique the martial art, the more impressive it actually is. It all depends on whether Lin Fei can satisfy all these martial arts. Only then will these martial arts practice hard. So, in the following days, Lin Fei worked hard to find ways to make the martial arts in his body satisfied. Lin Fei found that the most stable martial arts were the giant whale technique and dragon elephant Vajra fist. They could practice autonomously every day without doing anything else. Although they couldn't make huge progress all at once, their practice steadily improved. 9 Shadow Saber technique and tendon transformation and bone forging technique were the quirkiest. Without Buddhist scriptures or Taoist scriptures, tendon transformation and bone forging technique had almost no improvement. 9 Shadow Saber technique had improved to proficient since acquiring a saber. But then it stopped again. It didn't improve any further. It seemed that this 9 Shadow Saber technique valued enlightenment very much. It was necessary to let the 9 Shadow Saber technique gain more enlightenment. The 9 Profound sect had some senior masters. They could impart some martial arts experience. However, this required contribution points. If the contribution points were sufficient, one could even specifically ask a certain master for guidance. Lin Fei felt that if he could invite a master of the 9 Shadow Saber technique to give him guidance, his 9 Shadow Saber technique would definitely make rapid progress. Unfortunately, he didn't have any contribution points. As for using silver, Lin Fei didn't have enough silver now. He had almost used it all to practice martial arts and buy medicinal baths. A few days later, Lin Fei's medicinal baths were all consumed. System. Lin Fei brought up the system panel. Host, Lin Fei. Martial Arts Realm, Body Refining 4th Level. Giant Whale Body Refining Technique, 4th Level, 31% progress. Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist, Beginner, 61% progress. 9 Shadow Saber Technique, Proficient, 1% progress. Vajra Iron Cloth, 3rd Level, 16% progress. Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging Technique, 1st Level, 5% progress. Among all of Lin Fei's martial arts, the most significant progress was made by Vajra Iron Cloth. It was served with a large number of medicinal baths every day, making it very comfortable. In just a few days, it had already reached the 3rd layer. However, after reaching the 3rd layer, the progress slowed down. Most importantly, Lin Fei didn't have any more medicinal baths. No contribution points, no silver, no medicinal baths. If I continue to stay in the mountain, my martial arts progress will be slow in the future. After weighing the situation for a moment, Lin Fei decided to leave the mountain. Staying in the mountain, his daily progress was limited. But if he went down the mountain, he could earn contribution points and even go home for silver. With resources, he could soar to new heights. So, should I go home for silver or go down the mountain to do missions and earn contribution points? Lin Fei preferred going down the mountain to take silver. Although it would be expensive to buy things within the sect with silver, doing missions would entail certain risks. Lin Fei was still very weak now. There was no need to rush to take on missions and risk his life. However, Lin Fei still went to the mission hall. Lin Fei looked at the dazzling array of missions in the mission hall, his eyes shining slightly. Most of the missions in the mission hall were to support certain places. Actually, these represented the power of the Nine Profound Sect. The Nine Profound Sect was a martial arts sect, not a charitable organization. The sect occupied a vast territory and had branches and subdivisions in various places to conduct business and other activities, thus obtaining numerous resources. But where there were people, there were disputes. With disputes, fighting and killing would follow. These support missions could earn a large number of contribution points. However, they were too dangerous. Lin Fei felt that it was better for him to prioritize safety at his current stage. If there are no suitable missions, I'll go down the mountain first and get some silver. Using silver to exchange for contribution points is a loss, but at least it's safe. However, disciples below the 7th level of body refining are not allowed to go down the mountain easily unless they have a mission. Lin Fei felt a headache. He still needed to accept a mission. Otherwise, even going down the mountain would be a luxury. Lu Mountain, collect 10 black-backed centipedes. Time limit, 2 months. When Lin Fei saw this mission, his eyes lit up. Isn't Lu Mountain the mountain range where Lu Mountain County is located? My Lin family's old home is in Lu Mountain County. Although we moved to the Ju Mountain Mansion City after becoming wealthy, the city is not far from Lu Mountain. Besides, this mission is just a collection mission, not a support mission, so it shouldn't be dangerous. However, these mere 100 contribution points are really too few, but better than nothing. After thinking for a moment, Lin Fei directly accepted the mission. To be more precise, he was going home to get some silver and complete this mission along the way. Chapter 6. Second Young Master is back. Finally, I'm off the mountain. Lin Fei wore the 9 Profound Sect disciples' attire, rode a swift horse, and carried a thick-backed great saber on his back. He looked like a typical martial artist. The swift horse was rented from the 9 Profound Sect, and Lin Fei needed to return it once he was back. Wearing the 9 Profound Sect disciples' attire also had its advantages. Within a few hundred miles around, the 9 Profound Sect was the undisputed dominant force. Neither the underworld nor the legitimate world would dare to provoke the 9 Profound Sect easily. Thus, dressed this way, Lin Fei could avoid many troubles. Following the route from his memory, Lin Fei traveled along the official roads. Even if it meant taking more time, he preferred the main roads over shortcuts. The world was not too peaceful these days, and taking shortcuts could lead to encounters with bandits. As it was Lin Fei's first time leaving the mountain, it was better to be cautious. During the day, he traveled on the official roads, and at night, he rested in inns located in large towns. Consequently, with such a cautious approach, nothing unexpected happened along the way. Lin Fei quickly returned to Ju Mountain Mansion City, where the Lin family resided as wealthy merchants. Soon, Lin Fei rushed straight to the Lin Mansion. Finally, I'm back. Lin Fei looked at the Lin Mansion before him and finally breathed a sigh of relief. These days on the road, he had been anxious all along. Only upon returning home could he genuinely relax. Are you the second young master? A servant of the Lin Mansion carefully examined Lin Fei and finally recognized him. Lin Qi, what, you don't recognize this young master? Lin Fei said with a smile. This servant was a family servant who had grown up with Lin Fei. Of course, Lin Fei recognized him. It really is the second young master. You back. Lin Qi was overjoyed. The servants of the Lin family immediately ran into the mansion, shouting loudly, Master, Madam, eldest young master, the second young master has returned. What? Lin Fei is back. Is it Fei? In no time, Lin Fei's parents came rushing in after hearing the news. Lin Fei arrived in the living room and saw his parents. His father looked somewhat plump and white, while his mother was dressed like a noble woman. Lin Fei knelt before his parents and respectfully saluted them. "Your unfilial son has returned to see you, father and mother." Lin Fei's mother was teary-eyed. "It's been 3 years. Good, it's great that you're back." However, Lin Fei's father seemed worried despite his happiness. "Fei, you're finally back." At that moment, a refined-looking young man entered the room, accompanied by a beautiful young woman. "Big brother." Lin Fei respectfully greeted him. This refined young man was Lin Fei's older brother, Lin Wen, who was a few years older than him. Lin Wen helped their father manage the family business in the Lin mansion. "Who is this, sir?" Lin Fei couldn't help but ask about the young woman besides his brother. "This is your sister-in-law." "Nice to meet you, sister-in-law." Lin Fei understood that she was his brother's wife. "Big brother, when did you get married? Why didn't you send me a letter?" Lin Fei was surprised, as his brother wasn't much older than him, yet he was already married. Lin Fei's father cleared his throat. "Fei, you were cultivating diligently at the 9 Profound Sect, and we didn't want to disturb you. That's why we didn't tell you about your brother's wedding. Your brother got married just half a year ago. Your sister-in-law is the legitimate daughter of the Liu family." Lin Fei nodded. Mr. Liu was a talented scholar who, after failing the imperial exams, turned to business. He was quite wealthy in Ju Mountain Mansion City. "Fei, I have a question for you. According to the rules of the 9 Profound Sect, if one does not meet the sect's requirements within 3 years, they will be expelled from the mountain. Now you have come down the mountain, is it because—" As Lin Fei's father's voice trailed off, the atmosphere in the entire hall tightened. This was a big deal. The 9 Profound Sect was an undisputed powerhouse. In this world, where martial arts were revered, even the prefecture lord had to show respect to the 9 Profound Sect. Many matters in Ju Mountain Mansion City even required the help of the 9 Profound Sect. Staying in the 9 Profound Sect was of utmost importance to a wealthy merchant like the Lin family. They had sent Lin Fei to the 9 Profound Sect with high hopes. If he were expelled from the sect, it would not bode well for the Lin family. Even his brother's smile seemed forced. Only then did Lin Fei notice that in just 3 years, his brother seemed to have aged considerably. His eyes revealed a hint of fatigue. "Father, big brother, has something happened to our family?" Instead of answering immediately, Lin Fei asked. "Nothing major," his brother replied with a smile. However, Lin Fei's father waved his hand and sat down in his chair with a sigh. He slowly said, "Wen, Fei is your younger brother. It's good that he has come down the mountain this time. He can help you with the family business. Fei, over these 3 years, my health and energy have declined significantly. As a result, I've gradually handed over the family business to your brother." Lin Fei remained non-committal, understanding his father's intention. This was a clear confirmation of his brother Lin Wen's position as the heir to the Lin mansion. Chapter 7. The Dilemma of the Lin Family. This arrangement had been decided long ago. Lin Fei would learn martial arts, while Lin Wen would inherit the family business and manage it, providing resources for Lin Fei's cultivation. But in recent years, the world has become more chaotic, and bandits and thieves have emerged everywhere. Our Lin family has its own escort agency, but last year, Master Bai of the escort agency has been deteriorating in health and can no longer escort our goods. Since then, our Lin family's caravan has faced troubles. Almost every time we go out, we suffer losses, sometimes even severe ones. Master Bai was a body-refining 5th-level expert and had made quite a name for himself in both the underworld and the legitimate world. Thus, with Master Bai as our escort, our Lin family's caravan usually encountered no issues. But now, there's no one in the escort agency capable of taking on such a responsibility. As for hiring other body refining experts above the 4th level, firstly, we don't trust them, fearing they might seize our goods. Secondly, those unfamiliar 4th level experts may not be able to deter the bandits along the way. Over time, our Lin family's business has become increasingly difficult. Fortunately, Mr. Liu allied with our Lin family through marriage, and thanks to your sister-in-law's play, Mr. Liu's business now cooperates with ours, allowing the Lin family to barely stay afloat. But if this problem isn't solved, our Lin family will face even greater difficulties in the future. Lin Fei saw his older brother unknowingly grip his sister-in-law's hand tightly. It was clear that despite their recent marriage, their feelings for each other ran deep. As it turned out, his sister-in-law had helped the Lin family so much. Big brother, with the family in such difficulties, why haven't my monthly allowances been reduced? Lin Fei received 1,000 taels every month at the 9 Profound sect. This was no small sum. Over the course of 3 years, it amounted to nearly 40,000 taels. Given the Lin family's current situation, this money could alleviate their pressing needs. His brother smiled slightly. Second brother, your cultivation at the 9 Profound sect carries the hopes of our entire family. Even if the family is struggling, your allowance won't be reduced. Lin Fei felt touched. Father, I understand what you're saying. Right now, the world is in chaos, and our Lin family's caravan dares not leave Chu Mountain Mansion City easily. In the past, with Master Bai of the escort agency, the situation was better. It might not be because of his strength, but rather because he had connections in both the underworld and the legitimate world after decades of experience. Therefore, some bandits would give face to Master Bai. But now that Master Bai is unable to escort our goods personally, those bandits won't show us any mercy simply because of the escort agency's banner. Lin's father nodded. That's right. A single body refining expert at the 4th or 5th level can't achieve what Master Bai did, earning the respect of the bandits. Father, let's put this matter aside for now. I'll find a solution. You'll find a solution. Fei, you. Lin Fei no longer concealed anything and said straightforwardly, Father, who said I was expelled from the mountain? I came down the mountain on my own to do a mission. Just a few days ago, I officially reached the 4th level of body refining and can now stay at the 9 Profound sect. Is this true? Lin's father, mother, and older brother Lin Wen all showed a hint of surprise and delight on their faces. Of course, it's true. This is my identification plate. Lin Fei took out his 9 Profound sect identification plate. On it was the certification of his body refining 4th level. Ha ha ha, second brother, I knew you could do it. His older brother couldn't help but laugh. During this time, he had been under immense pressure. The entire burden of the Lin family rested on his shoulders. Now that Lin Fei had become a body refining 4th level expert and an outer disciple of the 9 Profound sect, Lin Wen felt more confident. No longer like before, when he was always cautious and treading on thin ice in everything he did. That feeling was truly unbearable. Lin's father was overjoyed and had a feast prepared. It wasn't until late that Lin Fei returned to his room. Phew. Lin Fei sighed deeply. Learning about the Lin family's current situation made him feel troubled. He had returned this time to complete a mission as a side task. His real purpose was to come back and get some money. But with the Lin family in such a state, how could he take any money? Knock, knock, knock. Before Lin Fei could lie down, there was a knock at the door. Lin Fei opened the door. Big brother. It's so late, you. Lin Fei was surprised. Outside the door stood his older brother, Lin Wen. Lin Wen patted Lin Fei's shoulder and handed him a stack of silver bills. Second brother, here are 30,000 taels in silver bills. Use them sparingly. With our parents and your sister-in-law present earlier, some things weren't convenient to say. I know that you martial artists consume a lot of resources. This amount may not be much, but it's all the Lin family can currently afford. Big brother, 30,000 taels of silver bills. Is the Lin family not doing business anymore? Lin Fei was shocked. Don't be so alarmed. I definitely won't touch the money used for the family business. However, our father had his glorious years, and now that the family's wealth has been handed over to me, I sold some of the treasures he liked when he was young. Don't worry, it won't affect the family business. Big brother, this... Lin Fei was deeply touched. His older brother had taken care of him since childhood. Even though they had both grown up, their feelings for each other remained unchanged. All right, don't be so sentimental. Go and rest. If you truly touched, strive to become a body refining expert above the 7th level or even a stronger expert. By then, just showing your reputation, who would dare to bully our Lin family? I, your older brother, will have more confidence in doing business. After speaking, Lin Wen left. Chapter 8. The Enlightenment of Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging Technique. Back in his room, Lin Fei put the 30,000 taels of silver bills into his pocket. He wasn't being pretentious. Right now, he indeed needed this money. Being poor and practicing martial arts would be impossible. Without this money, Lin Fei would have to take on some sect missions to earn contribution points. But those missions were quite dangerous. One could lose their life if they weren't careful. He was still weak and didn't want to take such risks. However, Lin Fei understood that the priority was to solve the Lin family's problems. Otherwise, if the Lin family fell apart, he wouldn't even have the monthly allowance. It would be even more difficult. His relationship with the Lin family was one of shared honor and disgrace. Old Master Bai could make the bandits show him respect. Of course, it's because of his decades of reputation. But how did that reputation come about? It was also built through fights and battles. I am an outer disciple of the 9 Profound Sect, and I can use that status. But if I want those bandits to respect me, I still need to prove myself with real battles. However, my current strength is still lacking. Lin Fei called up the system panel. Host, Lin Fei. Martial Realm, Body Refining 4th level. Giant Whale Body Refining Technique, 4th level, 51% progress. Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist, Proficient, 1% progress. 9 Shadow Saber Technique, Proficient, 1% progress. Vajra Iron Cloth, 3rd level, 16% progress. Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging Technique, 1st level, 5% progress. Lin Fei took 4 days to return to the Lin family from the 9 Profound Sect. Only his Giant Whale Body Refining Technique and Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist had made some progress. Among them, Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist had reached the Proficient level. As for the Giant Whale Body Refining Technique, it had also surpassed 50% progress. According to the daily progress of 5%, it would take at least 10 more days for Lin Fei's Giant Whale Technique to reach the 5th level. In 10 days, under normal circumstances, Lin Fei would be able to step into the body refining 5th level. If I want to ensure the safety of the Lin family's business in the future, just having the strength of the body refining 5th level might not be enough to deal with all situations. The stronger my strength, the better. Lin Fei set a 10-day deadline. First, he would deal with the Lin family's matters. Then, he would go to Lu Mountain to collect black-backed centipedes. He had 2 months, which should be enough. So, early the next morning Lin Fei asked the Lin family to go to the various pharmacies in the city to purchase the medicinal materials needed for Vajra Iron Cloth. Spending 30,000 taels of silver was enough to buy many precious medicinal materials. Another thing was the tendon transformation and bone forging technique. During this period, the tendon transformation and bone forging technique had not made much progress. It required listening to Buddhist and Taoist scriptures. Lin Fei asked Lin Shi to take him to a nearby famous temple for a visit. Lin Fei went to Sanyuan Temple outside the city. Sanyuan Temple was well known far and wide. The temple was large and had many golden statues of Buddha. Lin Fei arrived early. As a result, he caught the monks performing their morning rituals. The sound of wooden fish being struck accompanied the voice of a high monk explaining the scriptures. Thus have I heard, at one time, the Buddha was in the Jada Grove of the city of Shravasti with a great assembly of 1,250 bhiksus. Lin Fei heard the scriptures coming from Sanyuan Temple. Your tendon transformation and bone forging technique has, for the first time, heard the profound Buddhist scripture, Diamond Sutra, entering a state of enlightenment that lasts for the duration of one incense stick. Lin Fei's body stiffened. Immediately after, uncontrollable sounds of cracking and popping came from his body. The bones throughout his body seemed to be trembling violently. During the trembling, Lin Fei could clearly feel that the bones all over his body were improving at a terrifying rate. Enlightenment. Can martial arts also achieve enlightenment? Lin Fei was shocked in his heart. This tendon transformation and bone forging technique was truly astonishing. It had been silent all along, but now, just by listening to the Buddhist scripture, it had plunged into enlightenment. The time of one incense stick passed quickly. Lin Fei heard the system's voice in his mind again. Your tendon transformation and bone forging technique's enlightenment has ended. It has gained insights from the Buddhist scriptures, causing your bones to resonate. Its training efficiency has doubled and your training speed has increased tenfold. Your tendon transformation and bone forging technique has broken through to the 3rd level. Lin Fei's eyes widened in disbelief. He immediately opened the system panel. His gaze focused only on the tendon transformation and bone forging technique. Tendon transformation and bone forging technique, 3rd level, 1% progress. Lin Fei saw that the tendon transformation and bone forging technique on the system panel had indeed been upgraded to the 3rd level. Amazing! The tendon transformation and bone forging technique's enlightenment is worth several years of Buddha cultivation for an ordinary person. Even Vajra iron cloth had cost thousands of taels of silver to reach the 3rd level. And it took many days of soaking in medicinal baths. However, what about the tendon transformation and bone forging technique? It was almost like a meteoric rise. If the tendon transformation and bone forging technique got enlightenment from time to time, wouldn't it quickly surpass the giant whale body refining technique? As a result, Lin Fei continued to stay in Sanyuan Temple. He stayed until the afternoon. Lin Fei even found an excuse to visit a senior monk in the temple and sought advice on Buddhist principles. What was the result? After several hours, the tendon transformation and bone forging technique indeed made progress. However, it only increased by 5% in progress. It seems that enlightenment is not something that can be easily encountered. Nevertheless, if I want to improve my tendon transformation and bone forging technique every day, I still need to rely on Buddhist scriptures. Lin Fei simply bought a set of many Buddhist scriptures, packed them up, and brought them back to the Lin Mansion. Chapter 9. Body Refining 5th Level. Time passed day by day. Lin Fei soaked in medicinal baths every day, spending money like water. In the blink of an eye, the 30,000 taels of silver were almost all spent. However, the results were quite apparent. Lin Fei's various martial arts skills had made significant progress. However, the giant whale body refining technique was still a bit short of reaching the 5th level. It wasn't until the 10th day. Your giant whale body refining technique has progressed by 5% after a day of hard work yesterday. Your giant whale body refining technique has finally broken through to the 5th level after days of diligent hard work. Your dragon elephant Vajra fist has reached mastery after days of hard work. Lin Fei read through many more notifications. System. Lin Fei directly opened the system panel. Checking with the system panel was more intuitive. Host, Lin Fei. Martial Arts Realm, Body Refining 5th Level. Giant Whale Body Refining Technique, 5th level, 1% progress. Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist, Mastery, 1% progress. 9 Shadow Saber Technique, Proficient, 31% progress. Vajra Iron Cloth, 4th level, 45% progress. Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging Technique, 3rd level, 56% progress. I finally reached the Body Refining 5th level. Lin Fei was overjoyed in his heart. As he predicted, his Giant Whale Body Refining Technique reached the 5th level after 10 days. Moreover, not only the Giant Whale Body Refining Technique, Vajra Iron Cloth also reached the 4th level. Even Tendon Transformation and Bone Forging Technique was not far from the 4th level. What was even more remarkable was the Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist. It had improved from Proficient to Mastery. Now Lin Fei's strongest combat martial art was the Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist. The Mastery level Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist had immense power in every punch and kick. Combined with the 5th level of Giant Whale Body Refining Technique, the power was tremendous. The only thing that hadn't made any progress was the 9 Shadow Saber Technique. This saber technique indeed had quite a character. There was no progress during normal times. Lin Fei didn't know how to improve the 9 Shadow Saber Technique. However, the proficient 9 Shadow Saber Technique was barely enough for Lin Fei at the moment. Almost, it's time to deal with the Lin family's affairs. Lin Fei had been in the Lin family for 10 days. According to his plan, he had to deal with the Lin family's affairs. So, he went to the living room and found his parents and elder brother Lin Wen. Big brother, father, I've now broken through to the body refining 5th level. So, I can try to go on an escort mission and open up our Lin family's business route. Lin Fei spoke straightforwardly. Fei, you've reached the body refining 5th level. Lin's father and elder brother looked at each other. Their eyes revealed a hint of joy. The body refining 5th level was considered a strong expert in Ju Mountain Mansion City. Even the head of the Lin family's escort agency, Old Master Bai, was only at the body refining 5th level. Fei, going on an escort mission is still risky. But now, the Lin family really has no other choice. However, if you want to go on an escort mission, you should visit the escort agency and consult with Old Master Bai. After all, Old Master Bai has decades of experience in escort missions. Lin Fei nodded and said, Father, big brother, I'm just about to visit Old Master Bai. All right, I'll go with you. Elder brother Lin Wen nodded and they left the Lin mansion together. Bai's escort agency was not far from the Lin mansion. Bai's escort agency was originally a small one. Lin's father cooperated with Old Master Bai for the sake of convenience in business and acquired Bai's escort agency. With the support of the Lin family, Bai's escort agency developed rapidly. It quickly became one of the top escort agencies in Ju Mountain Mansion City. Soon, the two arrived at Bai's escort agency. Lin Wen was the owner of Bai's escort agency. Therefore, they could naturally enter the agency directly. Young Master Lin. A young woman with a heroic demeanor walked out of the agency. She was dressed in a tight-fitting outfit. Aside from her slightly rough skin, there were no other flaws. Bai Yin, we came to see Old Master Bai. Young Master Lin, please come in. Bai Yin's gaze swept over Lin Fei for a brief moment. She seemed to find him somewhat familiar. Bai Yin, this is my younger brother Lin Fei, who just came down from the 9 Profound Sect. Disciple of the 9 Profound Sect. Bai Yin raised her eyebrows and felt curious. Disciples of a large sect were not common in Ju Mountain Mansion City. Several people entered Old Master Bai's room. Old Master Bai had white hair and a yellowish, emaciated face. He looked seriously ill and was growing weaker day by day. Seeing Lin Wen come in, Old Master Bai struggled to sit up and said hoarsely, Young Master, it's all my fault. During this time, the Lin family's business convoy hasn't been escorted, the business route is blocked, and if this continues, I'm afraid. Old Master Bai was full of self-blame. He had once received great kindness from the Lin family. Now, he shared the Lin family's fortunes and misfortunes. Naturally, he was deeply concerned about the Lin family's situation. Lin Wen, however, smiled and said, "Old Master, don't worry. We've decided to go on another escort mission and completely open up the business route." "Oh? Young Master, have you found any experts to help?" Old Master Bai's spirit was lifted. "My younger brother Lin Fei, who just came down from the 9 Profound Sect, will lead the escort mission. What do you think, Old Master Bai?" As Lin Wen's words fell, everyone's eyes in the room focused on Lin Fei. Chapter 10. Martial Arts Sparring. "Greetings, Old Master Bai." Lin Fei saluted Old Master Bai with a fist. "Is this the second young master?" Old Master Bai also came to his senses. He, of course, knew Lin Fei, who had been practicing martial arts in the 9 Profound Sect. Since the second young master is a disciple of a large sect, his martial arts skills must be extraordinary, and he should be able to take on the escort mission. However, times have changed. Our Bai family's escort agency flight may not be recognized by the bandits in the Green Forest. If we encounter danger, Old Master Bai's meaning was clear. Once they embarked on the escort mission, there would be life-threatening dangers. "Old Master, why don't you find someone to spar with my younger brother? With your keen eyes, you can naturally determine whether he can lead the escort mission." Lin Wen suddenly spoke, offering a suggestion. "That's a good idea. Taishan, you go and spar with the second young master." Old Master Bai's eyes flashed with a brilliant light. He immediately called a burly man standing beside him, who was as tall and strong as an iron tower. "Brother, are you okay with this?" Lin Wen asked. "No problem, let's go outside and try." Lin Fei nodded. He was even somewhat eager to try. After all, he had reached the body-refining 5th level but had little experience in actual combat. This was an opportunity. So, the group of people left the room and went to the outdoor martial arts training ground. Many people gathered around. They knew that Lin Fei was a disciple of the 9 Profound Sect. Taishan was Old Master Bai's direct disciple and the future successor of the escort agency. Lin Wen stood next to Old Master Bai. In fact, Lin Wen also wanted to see Lin Fei's true strength. After all, seeing is believing and hearing is not. He didn't understand martial arts. But Old Master Bai did. He would naturally be able to see Lin Fei's true strength. Moreover, Lin Wen knew Taishan. Body refining 4th level. This was definitely Old Master Bai's proud disciple. Swords have no eyes, since this is a friendly spar, let's not use weapons. How about unarmed combat? Lin Fei looked at the burly Taishan and said. Then, please enlighten me, second young master. After finishing his words, Taishan took a big step forward. With one stride, he covered a distance of more than 3 meters. In an instant, he closed in on Lin Fei. Taishan was burly and had immense strength. As a result, his punch was also very powerful and fierce. And it came very suddenly. Under normal circumstances, Lin Fei would have to dodge first. However, he showed no intention of dodging. Seeing Taishan's powerful punch, Lin Fei didn't hesitate. He raised his hand and threw a punch as well. Dragon Elephant Vajra Fist. Lin Fei shouted in a low voice. Boom. Instantly, the masterful fist technique was unleashed. It automatically mobilized all the power in his body. Blood, chi, and bones all erupted. The power of the body refining 5th level was not to be underestimated. As he threw the punch, the air was filled with the sound of a shockwave. Bang! Finally, the two of them collided with a punch. Taishan's face changed drastically at the moment of the clash. An overwhelming force was transmitted directly from Lin Fei's fist. And it came with momentum like the pressure of a mountain, overwhelming and crushing. Crack. Taishan retreated several steps in a row. Under his feet, the hard bluestone bricks on the ground cracked like a spider's web. This showed how terrifying the power of Lin Fei's punch just now was. Taishan's body was filled with fluctuating qi and blood. He felt so uncomfortable that he wanted to vomit blood. He didn't make another move. In just one strike, the difference in their abilities was clear. Moreover, he noticed that Lin Fei had held back. Otherwise, with that punch alone, his arm would have been disabled. Thank you, second young master, for showing mercy. Taishan was an honest man. Lin Fei's strength was greater than his, and he had shown mercy, not making Taishan lose face. He naturally felt grateful. Ha ha ha, Taishan, you must be at the body refining 4th level, right? Your strength is really impressive. Lin Fei also clasped his fists and said with a smile. In fact, Lin Fei was truly happy in his heart. He didn't use much force just now, and it seemed that he had easily defeated Taishan. Taishan was certainly not weak. This could only mean that Lin Fei's current strength was indeed very strong. Moreover, the Dragon Elephant Vajra fist combined with the giant whale body refining technique was indeed very powerful. Your Dragon Elephant Vajra fist has just been tested in a real battle, and it has understood the essence of the fist technique in combat, increasing its progress by 60%. Lin Fei's eyes brightened. He didn't expect that sparring would bring such benefits. His Dragon Elephant Vajra fist had made significant progress. It seemed that it wouldn't be long before it advanced from mastery to transcendence. How about trying saber techniques? Lin Fei couldn't help but itch to try. He wanted to spar with Taishan using saber techniques. He wanted to improve his 9 shadow saber technique. I haven't practiced saber techniques much, but Bai Ying, my junior sister, is skilled in saber techniques. Taishan said honestly. All right, Lin Fei, that's enough. Lin Wen turned his head and asked Old Master Bai, what do you think of Lin Fei? He is qualified to escort the shipment. If I'm not mistaken, the second young master should be at the body refining 5th level, right? As expected of a disciple from a major sect, truly extraordinary. However, even with the body refining 5th level, it won't be easy to deter all the bandits along the way. Taishan, Bai Ying, this time you'll lead the team and escort the shipment with the second young master. Do your best to help him succeed. Old Master Bai immediately made a decision.